And we're in. Hello, my dear friend. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you? How have you been since we saw each other 24 hours ago?
Yeah, right. Yeah, nothing good, man.
Good.
Already wrecking my brain. At first, I was really excited about doing a noir mystery out on the sea for our one-off adventure at 250 followers, but then I was like, oh shit, I gotta make a mystery. So,
Yeah, if I couldn't have rolled a whole lot better. Getting the noir with the mystery is, it's perfect.
yeah. And then out at sea was brilliant. Oh,
that's interesting.
Dude, do you want to become famous? Because right now you could buy followers.
Well, obviously we're going to do that, right?
Dude, yeah. I mean, you know what? This conversation is over. I'm going to go over at this spot. Thank you for reaching out, JL That Kid. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go empty my savings and make this happen.
Sick. Get that bar mitzvah money out there. Yeah, Bedlam, report them, buddy. Report them. Send it out. Get him out of here.
So, speaking of yesterday, how was it playing with only 3 of the party members?
Man, I'll be honest. Walking in, I didn't know how it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Icewind Dale is already a dangerous enough campaign as it is. And we've split the party. If it was the other way around, I'd be a little more worried. Because I think Donna Bonnie is really the only person that's in front, that can handle in-front combat. Tobias is still very squishy, and so is Elsa. Elsa can do some damage, but you guys had at least the ranger who could heal, and the wizard who's full of utility.
Sure. Yeah. She really loved that Ray of Sickness, which I don't blame her for. It's fun.
Oh, right. When you find your favorite, man.
Yeah. That always happens when you're spellcast. You have your go-to spells that you love for certain reasons. Absolutely. And it's I'd say Ray of Sickness for me when I've played is a bit underutilized, but having that extra possible poisoning along with the damage is great.
Absolutely. Because poison is... Oh, she's an effective one. She does some damage.
Maybe bad. Yeah. Unless you run into something that's can't be poisoned,
exactly.
Or has advantages against it. Yeah.
Which happened exactly in some that episode.
Yeah. Spoilers. I think everything went... I don't want to say surprisingly well, but I had a blast. I thought it was great. We were... I wasn't sure if having less people would be worse for the role play. I wasn't so much concerned about combat because you know what, we'll figure it out, whatever. Yeah. And if we get beat up along the way or one of us dies, it's part of the game. Yeah. I don't want it to happen, but if it happens, it happens.
Sure.
I still don't have a backup character. I should probably think of one.
Yeah, I think now that we're approaching the end of Act 1, I think we're gonna pull everyone aside.
I should probably prep one. But the thing I was more concerned about, I guess, generally going in was, are we going to roleplay as much or feel as, creative in the moment? And I thought it went well. I think we were bouncing off each other pretty nicely.
I had the perfect amount of faith in such you guys. I adore a team, I'll be honest. I think, especially that 3rd episode, there was something magical, man. Everyone just came together and had beautiful moments, all in their respective rights and stories. And I was so proud. I was so proud of the new players too. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy. This was a worthy journey to start.
Yeah. Yeah. 3rd one is where it really started to gel for me too. When I came home, I was like, I think we're getting it. I think we're getting into it now.
Yeah, it's like, we have something. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lot of tears. Who knows?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe. You'll just have to kill one of us. If it doesn't come naturally, then you just have to kill one of us, and then we'll get sad.
Yeah. Or worst
well,
kill your favorite NPCs. But sorry, yes, sir. Continue.
I was just saying, yeah, if we wanted to go to maybe talk about, so ask some questions of each other and whatnot, and of course the chat. If there's anything y'all think of D&D related, us related, the games that we've been doing so far, answering things we can't answer, not answering things that you cannot reveal. But yeah, have fun in the chat.
Absolutely, yeah. We love questions.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you wanted to start with one. I've got a few.
Sure.
Things that get us talking.
Well, I don't know. Mine might end up being a long tangent. So maybe we start with one of yours.
I mean, we can. We just got a question in the chat, though. If you want to do that instead.
Hey.
Let the chat start it.
What makes a character interesting to you? Quality of work. Ooh! Okay, I presume a character that we're going to be playing.
Or like when someone has a character that you've noticed either as a player or as a DM, maybe, that a quirk or a certain quality that makes them interesting. Or maybe, it could be just as you're building a character, what quality you think makes them interesting. So either way, I guess.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fun. There's a lot.
I mean, I'll be honest. There's a little part of me that's a itty bitty bit selfish. If they've got a backstory that is simply ripe for bringing up into their campaign at some point, then I'm a big sucker for that. Because then it's a lot of fun. To me, that's a fun collaboration between DM and player. To be like, hey, how much do you trust me with your personal life? In the game. And exactly how much do you trust me to go into and creating surprises later down the line for you? Yeah.
I think I don't want to take away from people like doing the stereotypical backgrounds or character qualities and things like that. If you want to play a dumb barbarian or a rogue that has a dark background where their parents died when they were young or whatever, that's okay. Go for it. I do like the ones that do buck those trends, though, specifically. The kind of like, my character has a really great family that still loves me, and I can go visit them during campaign. Some of the most fun I've had from a DM's perspective was I had one of my groups go and visit one of the characters' parents, and they had a nice dinner and just chatted. It was great.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic. So things like that, having just that little bit of a difference to what you might expect. If someone can kind of turn something on their head, a shy bard or something like that just throws everything off a little bit.
Sure.
But I love the backgrounds. There's just enough there for you to have a solid background, but plenty for the DM to play with and work with in the world itself.
Absolutely, yeah. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of others. It's one of those questions where I know there's other things, unique quirks and qualities, but I'm just not thinking of them.
Sure. It'll hit us later.
Yeah.
Mid other question, we'll be like, what he said.
I do like it when people embrace the negative stats. Not just like, oh, they're stupid, so I'm going to be as dumb as I possibly can. But some of the, like, if they happen to have a low strength or dexterity or something like that, kind of leaning into that a little bit with their role play, I think is fun. Or even the character choices, like them being afraid to help somebody because they have low strength or what have you. I think leaning into low stats is a lot of fun.
It is.
A lot of fun.
I mean, a lot of people, because nobody likes failing, but I mean, and it does take some time playing the game to realize, oh, you are at least a couple of times per game going to fail. It's how it works.
Failing is inevitable. Our last game, I, with advantage, was rolling just garbage.
Yeah, man,
the entire time.
Bad rolls from everyone.
But I still, I was still having a great time, though. You know, it is what it is. It's not going to be every single time that happens. And it was a weird day for my character. A lot of great things happened, and a lot of really bad things happened.
A lot of weird things.
Yeah. I love it. It's part of it. I'm not, when I started, I was more concerned about failure, but I've gotten kind of beyond that.
Yeah.
Because it's a game. Who cares?
Exactly. Exactly that. You are allowed to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I had, is there any particular, either race or class or combination that you, as a player, would be looking forward to an opportunity to play sometime in the not too distant future?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I'm the DM, so yeah, I know about that all the time. I don't know. There's so many. I'm always attracted to rogues. There's just something always cool about them. I came up with this. I would have loved a rogue swashbuckler, ranger beastmaster, multi-class, and just had this dude with his pet Doberman. And so you would just you have your animal. You would immediately get flanking, so you'd always get your sneak attack, and
sure,
yeah, you would just be this little badass team. Just have this badass Poochie with me, and that would be right of it. But something that I always love, aside from the warlock with the genie patron, which just sounds so bloody interesting. You have a portable home. It's incredible.
There's a lot you could do as a DM with that too. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Warlock patrons can be a lot of fun to mess with. They can be a lot of fun. I've got a warlock in both of the campaigns that I run, and having the patrons as something you can mess with, it's such a unique dynamic because you can be antagonistic toward your patron, and that it's just not the same way generally with clerics and paladins.
Yeah.
Though they can, it's just less common, works a little more weird. But yeah, having that kind of, I don't know, patrons, warlock packs are just, they're interesting and unique. I would like to play a warlock at some point, but I've done a little bit of it for one shots and things, but there's a lot of cool stuff that can happen there. I have no idea which one I would pick. They're also uniquely interesting.
Right, yeah. It really is. Hexblade is brilliant.
Hexblade's cool.
Yeah. So yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, sorry. Probably a warlock or a the bard, the College of the Sword. That's always interesting. Just been this badass, charming fella who is just a killer with his blades.
Bards you can always have a lot of fun with the bards. Probably my favorite character I played was a College of Shadows, or Whispers. What is it? Whispers?
Whispers, yeah.
Yeah, it's Whispers, that's what it is. It's too many things to keep track of.
Sure.
Bard, just fantastic, fun thing to play. A little bit more of a creepy edge to it than some of the other ones. I do at some point really want to play as a monk. Yeah, and honestly, I kind of like it. I feel like it gets overlooked a lot, but I do like the Four Elements one. I think that's a lot of fun.
Is really cool.
Yeah.
It's really it's I guess it's overlooked because you're like, oh, I get these things, and that's basically it. Because their future levels are very small additions. Just you keep getting more badass powers and stuff. But I don't know. There's so much versatility behind them.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic, and once they get to those high levels, as a DM, it's where do you want to go? Your speed's probably fine. Just you get there.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Just tell me where.
They can move so much by the end of it. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's beautiful though.
Got some warlock chatting going on down there. I was young and I needed the power. Well, no.
Hey.
That's often the case.
Yeah. You do you.
Yeah. See, I asked the question. Do you have something?
Yeah. Well, something that I'd love to talk about because I adore it. The part of DMing that really speaks to me is world building, but like from scratch. And when you have the chance to like finally make a homebrew campaign setting, because I did the thing a lot of people really don't recommend, which is I don't want to use a book, a source book. I'm gonna make my own adventure right from scratch, and then learn the hard way. it was brutal. It was brutal. Some of the memories, but
yeah,
I don't know. There was so many like possible settings. Even before playing Icewind Dale, we were gonna play a homebrew campaign, but I was like, no, let's stick to a book for now. We got new players and everything coming in. Let's stick to a book, follow that, and then once they're used to the game, they can create like a character from scratch with more knowledge, and then we can build a history upon that if we want. But I don't know. I guess the question that I would love to start talking about in regards to homebrewing itself would be what like our favorite kind of settings for a homebrew campaign. In other words, like, I mean, for me, the Age of Sailing, you know, like the trade networks of like the East India Trading Company, pirates. Well, oh my god, a pirate campaign? Oh my god, I freak out. Oh my god. Just the amount of islands and hidden treasures and party planets, and then just pirate lords and the pacts that happen between them, which could be brilliant, and it's so many delightful sea-based monsters. Sea combat is cool. I love sea combat in D&D.
It's definitely interesting. I'm glad when they brought out Ghost of Saltmarsh, and there was more about details about that. Just the ships alone, I've used the book for more than anything, just the size of ships and the positions and what people are doing on them and how much things will cost for the ships and all that.
Yeah.
It's just as a resource for that alone, not even the campaign that's in it, is fantastic. Yeah, it's been great. And for some of the creatures, I've definitely used some of those sea-based monsters for while they're going from A to B across the ocean, these things could pop up.
Yeah,
it's got Ghost of Saltmarsh has got some cool stuff in there, and eventually maybe I'll actually run the module for real.
Oh yeah,
as opposed to doing it like twice.
I mean, I was enjoying it during this. We had a few games, but I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
having a little alchemist running around in a pirate world.
There's a good question in there. Before we go to it, I do want to say it, and hopefully an easy question. Before I go to it, you would have loved back when I was still in Austin, and I would have finished this campaign had I not moved out here. I had to leave when I moved to Los Angeles and leave that campaign. There is a bar in Austin that's a board game bar.
Okay.
And they would do on, I think it was Tuesdays, was it Tuesdays? I don't remember. Whatever, some day of the week. They would do a multi-table campaign, D&D campaign, where there were like a dozen DMs.
Oh my god.
And it was all in the same world. And occasionally they would have like a big bring everybody together for a large battle. And it was entirely based, and this is where I'll get you here, it was almost entirely sea-based and island-to-island based.
Oh my God.
We all had our own boats. Yeah, we all had our own boats, and you traveled different islands, and they'd have different types of rulers and caste systems and stuff like that. I think the main areas that we were in, they actually were Jarls, were the leadership.
Sure.
And man, it was awesome. I was really enjoying it. That's where I was playing that bard character I loved.
Oh.
And it was really, really neat. And it's just all these DMs built these worlds and what it was going to be, and it was just the most interesting and unique thing. And I joined like halfway through their first season campaign, which was very different.
Sure.
But that same type of, we all live in the same world, and occasionally they would bump into each other or do a big battle where every one of the tables involved in it.
You love it.
And
oh my god.
certain successes would affect the other tables. The kind of coordination was just insane.
Yeah, I was about to say the communication between everyone
yeah.
involved there must have been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't have even imagined how they made that all work. But yeah, that would have been right up your alley.
Yeah, I know. I would have definitely been there. I would have spent so much money at that place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You sit there and you play, and then, of course, I'm ordering beer, and, you know what, I'm hungry, and then you order that. And, yeah, it's an easy way to burn money quickly.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even have fought it. I'd be eating and drinking there every time. There we go.
Oh, definitely. And they had a pretty good selection there too. And they also had regular board games, but you know, when you're playing a multi-table D&D game, that's all you really care about.
It's kind of hard to go back from that.
Yeah. But speaking to your, not to jump away from your homebrew talk, I had the opposite approach. When I started, I was so unbelievably intimidated by the process that I was like, no, I have to use modules and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of split it. I used a module of dungeons that were not narratively connected, and I connected them with some, you know, homebrew ideas and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I used furthering that, again, not homebrewing myself, but I used Matthew Mercer's Tal'Dorei campaign book setting for the world to set it in.
Nice.
Because I found it a very interesting place to mess around in.
Yeah.
And then homebrewed all the connective tissue and a lot of the enemies, and did a little bit with monsters and things like that. But being new to D&D, I didn't feel like I needed to make up a whole lot. There's already so much there.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah. It throws me off sometimes when some people hit the ground running with it and go, oh, I immediately have to change everything about this and do all this, and I can only play the weirdest, like I'm going to be a bard turtle that is multi-classing into wizard for no reason. Yeah. Also, I am 18 different colors, and I have this home, like, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to just play like an elf ranger or some shit.
Dude, sometimes vanilla is fun, man. Like,
I want to make the character more interesting myself with my role play and how I play the character than making the character itself have to be so unusual.
Yeah.
I like putting it on me to make them unusual.
Exactly. And I guess just from your reactions as to what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But it's all good. It's all valid. It's what you think is fun in the game and everything. I don't take away anything from people who love to just make up their own shit from day one.
Yeah,
it's just not me. It's just not me.
Yeah, I get
it. Question in the chat says, "Devils or demons? Who do you like better?"
Oh, devils.
I love them both.
Yeah,
I think they're both fantastic. I think there's and it's tough. It's going to be devils is my answer.
Yeah.
But there is also a lot of what I'm looking for in a situation or in a story will largely lean one way or the other, which one I'd prefer. Sure. Because demons have a nastiness, a kind of more cult quality to them, just a malevolent force of evil and disgustingness that I think is fantastic. Demons have the creepiest, grossest looking things, and it's great. But I love the sinister nature of the devils. Yeah, the intelligence, the charisma, the devil contracts, the weird hierarchy they have and shit like that is fascinating, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's basically, it's like pure unadulterated evil, and then if evil had an accountant, like a public accountant is what it is. Yeah, and I'm the same. I love devils from their political structure and demons
I like them both though.
Demons are cool. They really are.
I like them. Yeah, but, I've peppered both of them throughout the campaigns I've run. They're both fantastic.
Yeah,
they're great. Um, it's like the kind of the age-old question of, do you like werewolves or vampires better? One of them's kind of just a killing machine, and the other one's more kind of alluring and just more purely evil, I guess, or evil of their own choice as opposed to just being animalistic.
Yeah,
it's not exactly the same, but I think it's a similar.
That's a great campaign setting too. Going old school Castlevania style, Curse of Strahd.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess in that, oh man, I have two questions that we could segue easily in.
Beautiful.
Is there anything you've run into talking about homebrew?
Sure.
Anything that you've run into homebrew or even official rules out of the 5e stuff, the Wizards of the Coast official things, but homebrew for sure. Any rules that you encountered people use that just really rubbed you the wrong way, or you're like, hey, this doesn't make sense. I don't like how they would do that.
I mean, like, rules as written in 5e, I don't understand why, if you're single-handing, you can't bonus action punch somebody with your offhand. You know what I mean? Like the whole two-action fighting, like two-weapon fighting. Yeah. That never made that sense to me. I was like, why can't I, or like bonus action throw sand in his face or something? You know what I mean? Like having a spare hand to me, like, should open you up to some kind of utility. Yeah. So I've always found that to be, a little silly. That one. I did play something that's interesting. And I brought it up solely because of how Gabe plays. He like always tries to go for the flank, where the DM didn't give advantage for flanking. He just gave a +2 to your attack.
Okay.
So at first I was like, I don't know how I feel like that. Flanking's kind of fun, but as the game went on with the +2 instead of advantage, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I was playing a barbarian, so I had reckless. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I actually have to work for my advantage now. And it made me feel like I appreciated reckless a little bit more. Because I was like, oh, it's this rare thing. I can get advantage on absolutely every attack. And then that's like it just gave validity to this ability that existed. So, yeah, it was a conflicting thing. I wish I played a little bit more inside that game so I could have just had more of a stronger sense out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting because, I mean, advantage, I think, would be, I don't know about statistically, but I would think it would be a little bit more, pun not intended, advantageous than a +2. But a +2 is still fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I like, so you could do like a reckless, be flanking, and also get a +2 in that situation.
Yeah, 100%.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty
great. Yeah, you see where it comes in. You're like, okay, I can kind of get it now. Like, yeah. So there are moments where I was like, maybe in future we'll try out at least maybe like a home game or something if we're just chilling. Start messing around with small rules like that to try and make it the other mechanics validated. What about yourself?
I know there's stuff in the game. There was a point where I was complaining about how in the rules as written there was a like terminal velocity of damage for fall damage.
Yes.
It's like 20d6 or something like that. Yeah. But at the same time, once you're at the kind of the point where that fall's not going to kill you, y'all are practically gods anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't kill you.
Exactly.
But part of that is it's either do you raise that amount? Do you give it no cap? I mean, what is it? I mean, when you fall from 1,000 feet, you're probably going to die, but these aren't normal people we're dealing with in Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
They can do pretty extraordinary things. I mean, they're getting swallowed by monsters and then crawling out, healing themselves, and getting right back to work.
Exactly that. Like you're getting cut half to death, but you're sitting down for an hour and your arm grows back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Homebrew, and I'm sure there's other things. I'm not thinking of them.
Yeah.
Homebrew wise, I've encountered some interesting things, different takes on flanking and partial flanking. I like to do because flanking in and of itself is an optional rule.
Yeah.
Even in the DM's guide, it listed as something you can do if you want to. But doing it like only up to a certain size, that you can flank and intimidate something that's small, medium, large. But maybe once you get into like huge and gargantuan, you're not really doing a whole lot of distracting on something like that when you're just these two little guys standing next to a ancient red dragon
or an ogre.
So, or something
ogre
like that. So modifying it, that's good.
Yeah.
I had and this might harken back to an old version of D&D, like one of the 3 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I never played anything beyond 5e, so I have that limitation.
Sure.
But there were some DMs, I never played it this way myself, but I'd heard that would say, everyone decides what they're doing at the start of their turn or at the start of the round in combat, and you do it regardless of what changes, because that's what you're planning to do. So if you're planning on casting something in this area, because it's all kind of happening simultaneously and in 6 seconds and all that, and I get that, but at the same time, that does really lopside the battle in the DM's favor.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I get it. It's a very isometric approach to how to handle it, and if a game is constructed, with those regards, then I'd be like, okay, I could see that, but a lot of the mechanics of classes and things like that, they're put into play when you have to react to specific situations. You have environment and things to do, and so I mean, I can understand if things were catered to it. I'd be interested to try it out.
It is conceptually interesting. I get where it's coming from. It would definitely speed combat up a lot.
Oh,
because it would just be you do. It is a lot faster because, I mean, that's one of the combat's great. You got to have fun with it to make it interesting because it can slog on sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm very much for characters describing how they attack things and all that. I don't even know if I've done a great job as during our stream.
You've done a great job, man.
But also, I haven't been a player for a while, so I'm just thinking about, not that Barbarian needs a whole lot of planning to their turn.
Sure.
Which is also a nice... It's been nice to relax in combat and just go, I've got one thing I do, and I'm going to do that thing.
It is, and it also does kind of aid that fun panic that you have when you come across an enemy who does just start slaying into you, and you're like, oh shit, this is my one thing, and I'm in trouble. It's
it helps you be more creative too.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a fun class, man.
Oh yeah, that was just a comment from Dan about most NPCs. They have like 6, 10, 12 hit points or whatever. Yeah. So of course you're walking around with 150 hit points. You're pretty tough.
Yeah.
Just going back to the fall damage thing that I mentioned. I also realized recently I'd completely read the fall stuff incorrectly. It's supposed to be pretty much instant. As soon as you fall, you hit the ground because that's how long it's going to take. Where I was making it more of a round-to-round tiered amount of dropping. But per rules, you drop I can't remember how much, 500 feet in an instant.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Yeah. It's in the DM's guide somewhere, but I realized it mid-session one time. It's like, shit. I've been doing this wrong. I'm going to do it right from now on.
Yeah.
No more flying without fear of consequences.
Yeah, that much is so. You gotta instill the fear.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be those stakes. Ooh,
I asked one. Did you have another question?
I mean, mine is still on the homebrew.
Keep going with it.
Have you ever explored a homebrew class that you thought was really well made, or just interesting?
Technically, you can I feel like that it's not. It is homebrew, but it's not because of the level they've gotten to and everything, and the quality of the build and all that. I don't I feel weird calling any of the stuff that Matthew Mercer created really a homebrew anymore, because it's so well developed and so much thought is put into it, and it's published stuff now. But I have used like the Blood Hunter, the Gunslinger. I think they're fascinating. There are some limitations to the Gunslinger for sure about the ammo and all of that, but and the gun's breaking, but it's still it's an interesting dynamic, because you also have a weapon that can shoot way further than like a longbow can.
Yep.
But if you break it mid-combat, you have that chance. You have a chance to fix it, but if you screw up, now you have what? Do you have a sword or something?
You have a blunt object in your hand.
Yeah, so they're cool. I haven't created one myself, and I haven't really looked into any other homebrew classes all that much, to be honest with you. I just early on was looking at a lot, and they were so lopsided and overpowered.
Yeah, there's a few really overpowered ones out there.
And I think it's maybe the person that created them is still figuring out how to make them work, or maybe it's from someone who's just tired of not doing well and wanted to make something overpowered.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, what about yourself? Is there anything I know you created the little thing for one of our characters, for Grayson's character, the extra homebrew thing. It's not a full class necessarily, but it's an archetype thing, so that's really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm creating several. I'm creating a subclass for each class right now for the source book that I'm, developing. But creating a class from the ground up is a whole other creature. One that I saw was really interesting was the Scholar. It's pretty big on the DM Guild. I think if you go out there and try to look for it, people rave about it as like one of the most well-made ones. And it's literally like the different parts that you can take. You can become like into like the medicinal knowledge, and you become kind of like a healer / surgeon. And there's some like analytics behind it that can help in battle. There's a lot that you could do with having the class of Scholar. Just this class that's really adept at learning. It was cool, number one, because it's another intelligence. The base class. There's only 2 out of the whole thing. That's Artificer and the wizard who was alone for so long.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
I think what is it? Is the rogue that uses intelligence for their spells if they have any?
Blood Hunter too.
Like the Arcane Trickster or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call it an intelligence-based character.
No, like investigation is the idea. Or maybe medicine if you're trying to like analyze poisons, becoming that kind of assassin. But yeah. So I guess the Scholar was a really good one, and I read a really good witch. So I made a witch, and it had a lot to do with like your familiar and the coven that you had joined, and I don't know. It was really well balanced behind. Like you had to earn the right to do your magic by doing certain things, both in and out of combat. And it was really clever. Like it was so intricate and so like well pieced together, and there's different avenues that you could take it. That I was like, oh great! So someone clearly put a lot of thought into it. So that's something.
Yeah, I did come across for our Curse of Strahd campaign that I was in, and my wife played a Pixie homebrew class that actually was pretty cool. Or not class, race, Pixie race, that had some cool stuff, and it was interesting playing as a tiny creature. So that had its own dynamic, but you could fly. There were some obviously limitations as far as if you wanted to use a sword on somebody. But she was playing a druid, I think, which automatically you can do stuff like wild shape, which you go from tiny pixie to elephant. So that takes away some of that height problematic. But there were some other features to it, some fey abilities that it had that I thought was actually pretty cool and not overpowered or anything like that.
Oh, great!
So that was pretty cool. I'm sure I could probably find it somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you'll be able
old
to.
file or something like that.
Pinterest probably has it too. You could probably pull it up. Mousefolk were always like one of my favorite homebrew races. I just love them. I just love mouse.
Oh yeah,
Mousefolk are so
yeah.
fucking adorable.
Yeah,
Cool.
I played a few games with a guy who was playing one, and it was pretty funny. It was entertaining.
Yeah,
it was good stuff. Yeah,
it was great.
I've never done it myself, but I mean, there's so many things out there that I would love to play, and it's the good thing as a DM, you're able to get those little tastes of it sometimes, putting in NPCs that are those things you want to play.
Yeah.
So you just get that little bit of a taste to it, but to really play them, there's so many. There's not enough time or enough campaigns to do it.
Yeah, which is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to be like, there's literally too much for me to enjoy right now.
Yeah. I will say, I meant to say it earlier, this is slightly off subject, but still in the homebrew. You were talking about us, we were going to do your homebrew world setting and then ended up starting off in a module.
Yeah.
I was excited for that. My Borla was created for that world,
right,
and we just kind of ported her over to this, as I'm sure with the other players as well. But the background and everything I designed for her was for that world setting.
Yeah.
We just made it work with this one. So I am, if you end up doing that and down the line we ever do end up playing in that, I actually am excited for it. It sounded fascinating. No spoilers for in case you ever do it.
Sure.
Unless you want to say something about it.
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it. It'll definitely change.
Yeah.
If the events are just it was basically the age of sailing. Like, it was a big thing, and it was essentially 5 emperors are from different continents. It's the blank spots on the map that started being etched into people started flying each other all across the map, and so it was like just different empires that were based off of different mythologies. There was a Chinese mythology, a Greek mythology, a Norse mythology, good old-fashioned Britannica and Celtic mythology, and then what was the last one? I think it was Arabic and Middle Eastern mythologies.
I think so.
Yeah, because they like ran most of the trade there.
Yeah.
And so it was just the idea of all these different mythologies all around the world, and then people could be like, all right, go ahead and pick where you're from. Yeah. You could all be from the same place, you could all be from somewhere else, and then we'll find a way to put you into it. And everything was on the brink of war, and there was a lot of politics involved. It was very inspired by like Total War games. It was awesome.
No, I was excited to play it, and if we do it in the future, I'm definitely excited. It informed and also helped me decide on sticking with the whole Scottish accent thing for the dwarf, which I know is a little bit of a stereotype now, but I like doing it and it's fun. Because she was gonna be from that kind of Scottish clan setting in the kind of more Britain area of that. I still love it, and the background and stuff we have for her in this, I think, is great. So, which I'm sure will come out organically at some point. Borla's not gonna force it into conversations.
Sure.
But not to be intentionally protective of it. That's another D&D thing that so many characters and players do is, I don't want to talk about that past, but sometimes it's appropriate.
Absolutely.
You're displaced and doing weird, crazy adventures for some reason, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I would encourage people to, now and then take the step. I mean, Bessie did it in the third game, and it was just basically like, oh yeah, listen, I really like you guys. Family's a hard thing for me to come about. I don't like being judged. I want to hang out with you. And it was like, wow, okay. Like, thank you for that. It was beautiful.
Hey, Borla was trying to press her on some of that. It's like, so what's going on with this?
Oh,
and she was like, nah.
Borla does tend to press now and then, man.
Just curious.
Yeah.
If they push back too much, she's gonna back off though.
Sure.
The danger that someone asks about hers. It's a self-preservation thing. There was a ghost and there was blood and a whole bunch of shit. She was just
absolutely.
What's up with that? What's up with that?
Should we be worried?
Do I need to keep one eye open tonight while I sleep?
Yeah.
We did have another question.
Whoop-whoop.
Do you guys do anything special to get into a DMing mindset? You have to mentally set aside your entire day to get into it.
Loads and loads of mushrooms, my man. Just start tripping. No, honestly, music. Music is a big thing. You know, I'll start listening to any Jeremy Soule is a big one. Start listening to him. And then now and then I'll just pull up a really fun like one-off that has been done by, I don't know, other channels. And just ones that are like, it's over the top, it's extra, and it just reminds me, it's like, oh, okay, I can relax, it's still a game. It's very easy to get lost inside your head, and you do so much prep, and you're like, oh, is this gonna work? Do people like this kind of thing? Are they gonna get it? And then now and then it's just nice to be like, oh yeah, no, who gives a shit? You could just have fun.
Yeah, it's easy to overthink it. It's stress out too much about how are they going to react to this. I need to do this or whatever. Most of my best times while playing or being dungeon master has been in moments I didn't expect or had to kind of just flow with what the characters were doing that I didn't necessarily expect, the players' choices that they made, and just kind of had to pull stuff out of my ass and figure out, okay, so what will this mean? And some of the best things are just thought up on the fly, and it'll seem like, oh, this is going to sound like I prepped this, but I did not prep this at all.
Yeah.
Just sometimes having to think on the fly, you get more creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of my good ideas were sudden sparks.
Yeah.
Even in prep, it's like I need to, if I'm really trying to think hard about how to make something make sense, it's going to take me forever. It's usually, I thought about it in a dream, or I was reading a book and went, oh crap, this would be great for my campaign.
There you go.
But back to the question, I do need a little bit of time to get into the mindset, maybe an hour or two beforehand.
Yeah.
But not all day. Initially, it took me a little bit longer. But 100%, it's definitely music. I have a Dungeon Master playlist on Spotify.
Lovely.
My characters that I play have playlists.
That makes sense.
Several of my enemies and big bads and campaigns that I run have playlists. Music for me informs so much about my mood and getting ideas flowing and stuff like that. So if I'm thinking about what the bad guy's doing and his overall plan, I'll put that music on and just kind of listen to it and let it get me in that headspace. So music, 100% for me.
Yeah.
I'd say that's most of how I prep is music.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you get so used to it because there's so much bloody painting to do. And so I need something in the background. But then eventually you build it in. I'm like, oh, I'm creative and I'm DMing with this music. So when you hear it again, what's that effect called? When you're like programming yourself, essentially. Like sensory or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Sensory something.
I can't remember. Maybe something will...
fancy word.
Refilling your drink. Oh, it's like if something comes up and I need to take... Oh, I got to go to the bathroom real quick because I don't know how to do this. Or handle what my players just said. Refilling my drink. Sure, that's a moment to take a... Okay, so they just did this. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I've got it.
Before he responds, he takes a long sip of his drink.
Yeah. A lot of describing the character being caught speechless and having to think about something.
Exactly. Yeah. I did not expect that. Oh, I like
that's a good question.
Sensory deprivation. Yeah, this is a good question. Do you prefer, as a DM, role-playing the baddies or the friendlies? Ooh, that's hard.
That is so difficult to
answer. If I had to choose one or the other.
The answer's both, but
fuck, man.
It's a good question.
It's really you can have a lot of fun with the bad guy instead of just being like I don't know, because philosophy to me is a huge thing. and it's really cool for a bad person to have a strong philosophy. It's like a nice challenge as to why they are the way that they are. Is a wonderful way to go about things. But it's also kind of cool when you're playing everyone's favorite friendly, and you're helping people out, and people are like,
"Oh yeah." I do really like playing, having those NPCs that the characters get really attached to and like, and sometimes because I planned the character out to be that way. Sometimes it's just because of I feel like this guy would act like this in this moment because I didn't expect them to go into this shop right now, and you end up accidentally making a really fun NPC for them to mess around with, and then guess what? Now they're permanent and in the notes, and they're probably going to visit them again and all that.
Or they're going to bring them along on an adventure.
Yeah. Or even like when you're using a module, and these are already pre-set up NPCs, they'll have descriptions in there, but I always try and add just a little bit of my own twist to it, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's worked out pretty well in some situations. Others, it's just a passing, who cares? But yeah, I if you're DMing, I recommend not just going by the exact thing that is said in the book. Mess with it a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much shit that's worth changing. it's. I mean, like, they didn't design those books to be taken word for word, based on every character. There's so many options, and then you have, and that's just for one person, and then you mix that with like 6 other people or like 5 other people. Things go in different directions. Like, have fun, mix things around. I mean, I did it on the internet. It's still there.
And same thing with the bad guys too. Sometimes the motivations and stuff are not fully fleshed out, so make them. That's what makes a bad guy interesting. Them having a reason to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to have a 2-dimensional bad guy. Sometimes there's a reason for that. Having a 2-dimensional bad guy is not a bad thing. It's good to have something that's just an evil asshole to fight against. That's great.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always
but ones with actual or motivations or reasons why they're doing what they're doing, I think is what really makes good villains. So those are the baddies that I really like to play. Yeah,
I think that might be. Yeah, if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose the villains. Yeah, the baddies.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think I'd agree with you. On baddies. I will say, I think as a DM, I've almost had more of those moments of joy when they liked one of the good ones better.
Yeah.
Like when they really got attached to one or really enjoyed a portrayal of one of the friendlies. But man, it's so hard to say. I mean, when we chatted either the last time or the time before, I mentioned one of my favorite moments ever, which was more recently for me, was within a very short time period in the same session playing an NPC that they adored, and then moved into the next like scene or sequence to a character that made them just like furious, and just it was great. It was fantastic, and I got almost equal joy out of both.
Yeah, exactly that. A reaction is a reaction, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
I was sweating at the end of that one because there was a lot going on for me in that one.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
See, anything else? Let's see. RP moment.
We got time for one more question.
Oh yeah, I should probably cross these off so I don't do that to myself again.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Talked about that.
Ooh, Laundry Money. Lovely name, by the way. Love that. DM Tales. What do you mean by that?
Generally speaking?
Yeah, like just generally like a favorite moment, or
kind of just mentioned one.
Oh, sorry, you were checking in to what the hell we were talking about. Yeah, we're just literally just chatting. Feel free to chat with us. There's no strict rules here whatsoever.
Yeah, just asking questions, answering stuff out there in the chat.
Being nerds, being a nerd.
I got it. I got a good question.
Okay. Shit. Laundry Money. Sorry, before you get into it, just finished an 8-month campaign. Oh my word!
Nice,
Beautiful,
nice,
great. Yeah, hopefully there was some closure there.
I like. Hey, long-term campaigns is a thing. In
Sign
my
me
understanding,
up, bro. I'm gonna be buying houses. I'm gonna have a backyard. I'm gonna have pets and all that.
I think that's something ingrained into D&D history. There's those examples of people who've been playing the same campaign with the same people for 20 years because they're only able to meet like once every couple of months, things like that. And I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. The 2 campaigns I'm running right now are both at about 2 to 3 years. So
beautiful.
They've been long term, and it's pretty consistently a week to week thing. There've been breaks and whatnot, but yeah, it's been a lot. I think we just hit our 99th or 100th session in my the one I do here in LA.
Yeah.
And they're level 12.
So, oh, yikes. Okay.
Yep. So I like the long-term ones. Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So many, you can have long-term plans and stuff, like you said, buying houses, towers, things like that. Get yourself a boat.
Hey, thank you, Laundry Money. We appreciate the follow. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Sorry, it's just I got to turn down the volume for that widget though. It's like a big Thor hammer that comes up on the screen with lightning bolts, but it's word line scared me a little. The volume when that was up. I was like, oh my god.
That's great. We won them over in 30 seconds. It's fantastic.
Hey, well, yeah, thank you, man. I'm glad. Feel free to nerd out with us.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of videos up now.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's a little intense. I'll have to turn it down.
I guess we got maybe a couple minutes here. I had one question that I thought might be interesting and can be a very short answer to. Just, is there a specific moment for you where it actually you realized how interesting D&D can be, that it really was something for you, and you knew that, oh, this is something I could really, really get into. If there was a particular moment or something you saw, it doesn't even have to be something you were part of necessarily, but is there something, a particular moment?
I mean, there was a few moments where I was interested. And all of that was looking things up online. I'm a fan of the Game Grumps, and they had a little D&D campaign at one point. And listening to it, I was like, oh wow, this is, like people paint the picture of it, but they don't quite tell you exactly how much freedom you have. And then we had the first ever campaign for my birthday. We did a one-off with, I don't know, like 12 people, and
that was nuts.
It was nuts. You did a great job, though, man. You did a great job. Every one of us clearly had a lot of fun, and yeah, I don't know. There was just something so magical, and it didn't have to do with who I was playing with. I was playing with all my really close friends, and it was just really cool for all of us to just be inside this sort of fantasy world where we had each other's backs, and it was just cool. Mm-hmm. Grayson and I running off as the rogue and the barbarian, and like intimidating a poor blacksmith to get a breastplate, and then Abby the cleric coming back later and then lie to her, and then there was just so much to it that I was like, oh my god, the freedom of this is delightful. We spent hours before we got to like actually go into the mission because we were just interested walking around. Yeah,
you messed around in everything that didn't have anything to do with actually going on, and I have an inability to railroad people in any way, so I was just like, let them have fun and see what you can actually do with this game. You like accidentally intimidated the true bad guy to reveal himself well before he should have said anything.
Yeah.
It was who was it that did it? Was it someone just straight up grabbed him and rolled really high intimidation that made him admit that he was behind everything.
Yeah, he was.
In that moment, it was great.
He was trying his best to. He was creating the conflict so he could sell weapons.
Right.
It's basically what it said. Yeah, it was the barbarian and the rogue. I was holding him and he stuck a blade to his throat. Like, hey, stop being an asshole.
It was fantastic. That was a weird and fun day.
It really was. What about yourself?
It was because I got peer pressured into playing. It seems
good.
A little too far. Despite me being a big fan of high fantasy and sci-fi, and I'll always love Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and all these nerdy things. Dungeons and Dragons always seemed like just that step too far.
Yeah.
It's like I can't get into Dungeons and Dragons. That is absolutely absurd.
Sure.
The farthest I'll get is weird board games or something. But I got kind of peer pressured into doing it by a bunch of friends that I played board games and stuff with, and I did it, and I kind of got it. I was like, okay, this is sort of fun. There's a lot of rules to it or whatever. And DM was great and everything, and we were having a good time.
Lovely.
It was, and I know this is a common story now, even to the point where some people get frustrated by the kind of ripple that Critical Role made. Certain standards of the game that they have, there's this whole thing about the Matt Mercer effect,
Matt
blah,
Mercer
blah, blah.
effect, yeah.
Whatever, who cares? They're having fun playing the game how they want to play it. It's great. Don't make your DM do it. Don't expect it. But if you want to try and do it, fucking go for it and have fun.
Damn straight.
But it was watching that. Someone was like, hey, you got to watch it. I was like, okay. I'm playing already. Do you really need me to be watching a bunch of people play as well?
Yeah.
But I watched it, and I realized then, oh, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
Like, you can actually just do whatever the hell you want. And that's what made... I went back to my next session, was like, in combat, I made a decision I was a sorcerer. My very first character was a sorcerer. And instead of casting a spell in a moment, I was like, okay, I have no strength, but I'm right here in front of this golem thing, and I can see its power source. So I was just like, I'm just going to jam my fist into its chest and try and grab it.
Yeah.
And I took like lightning damage and a whole bunch of crap to do it. But the DM was like, sure, go for it. And I rolled a natural 20.
Of course you did.
And I grabbed it, pulled the damn thing out, and it completely messed up the combat. And it was great. And I was like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. It's this stuff.
Oh wait,
it's
you know what? There was one moment that really stuck out for me. It wasn't during that game, but it was when like just a wizard and a DM were speaking, and the wizard just came up with his own spell. Then the DM approved it, and it was like, yeah, you made a spell, and it's balanced, and blah blah blah. And that's when I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Like, this is truly amazing. It was like a nether swap. You could swap places with somebody or something. Yeah. It was like a high level, it was like a 5th level or something like that.
Sure.
It was just, I was like, oh my god.
Playing around.
Oh my god, it's incredible. It's actually incredible.
Playing around with some spells, some homebrew spells or modifications of existing spells, I think you can have a lot of fun with that. I have a warlock that's it's the Celestial Pact.
Okay.
And wanted summon Greater Demon, but didn't want to summon a demon. They wanted to summon a Celestial instead. And I looked at it and I was thinking, like, so there's certain challenge rating and whatnot that it can get to and all that.
Sure.
I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And now they have this, summon Celestial spell that they used a few times. Haven't in a while, but it's like, why not? Have fun with it.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's the beauty of the game. As long as you're not trying to break it or anything, I suppose. Just have fun with it. Yeah, have fun with it.
Wow.
But yeah, no, that's almost. It's almost frustrating that it happens to be that Critical Role attachment to what got me into it. But you know what? It is what it is.
I mean,
they hooked me and made me realize I can think out of the box. I can have fun with this, and I did, and it's now here I am.
Yeah, here you are. 2 years later,
running 2.5 year long campaigns or whatever.
Yeah, and on a channel, playing on a channel. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Right.
Yeah.
People are watching me on the internet.
Oh, always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I can do it in front of like a live audience. It's easier to just ignore the camera.
Oh no, that'll happen. We're gonna have a live audience. It's gonna be great.
Oh,
It's gonna be great.
yeah, sure. Um, well, let's see if we missed anything.
Yeah.
I think we're probably okay, but oh, that's probably kind of cool. The magic items, mark features some other classes. That's neat. I might steal that in my campaigns.
Yes, stuff like that is very, very interesting to do if there's one small feature about another class that works really well for the build that you're going, but you don't want to take 4 levels in another class that really doesn't do much for you.
Having a magical item,
small effect to like later.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's something that there's a lot of potential there. I can foresee some slight danger in that of creating a really bad min-max situation, but done well, you could, like I said, usually those abilities are already pretty well balanced anyway. So that's an interesting thought. I might have to consider that as an option going forward. Yeah. I think homebrew. We were talking about homebrew campaigns and classes and stuff. I think homebrew items can be a lot of fun.
Oh hell yes.
A lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there that's available in the modules and the DM's guide and all of that. But
just out
some really fun homebrew items. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Laundry Money. Appreciate it. We just might. We actually just might.
It's a good thing we have permission now.
Indeed.
I was just steal for my home game, so there's no proof there. But
yeah, shit. Now I've got the pressure.
Well, it was good to talk to you as usual.
Yeah, man. Thank you. This is good. I'm glad this has become a regular thing.
Yeah, and thanks for contributing those that asked some questions down there. And it's fun to see people in real time asking questions. It helps us fill an hour worth of talking. So
it is, yeah. It's also just nice to hang out with fellow nerds. It's wonderful. It's not a community that should be shy because we have the most bloody fun.
Yeah, nerd validation at its best.
That's right. Yeah. Well, welcome, Lord Jumoni. We appreciate you with the follow, and then I don't know if you know, we play our games every Saturday at 1:30. That's when we stream our games. Tomorrow night at 8, I do like a Monday night map making. I just make maps through a program called Flowscape, and literally just hang out and do that. But other than that, thank you, man. Wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time for the chat, and I guess I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Awesome. And thank you, Lord Giovanni. They are exciting. For the most part.
I'm biased. I can't answer that question.
Yeah, that's true. Alright, well, thank you so much. And then, I guess until next time, my loves, my fellow nerds. Cheers. Look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody. Please.